And I bawl before God. I said, God, my throat hurt me, my skin a peel off, I feel sick. And it's coming now that I don't have nowhere to live and we have to go home.
Welcome to another episode of the Kept for Keeps podcast as we continue the series Faith Through Fire. And of course, I'm here with the lovely Miss Kerry-Ann Wright. So how are you doing, Kerry?
I am doing well.
Yeah, I love that.
Yes.
So we've been doing the series and you left off at part 2 talking about your journeys. But for those of us who might be joining for the first time, just give them a little recap about what you talked about.
So basically I was sharing, the road I went through after being diagnosed with breast cancer. Just how it affected my body, how it affected my mind, how it affected every aspect of my life, So I was just testifying, and I mean, even though it seemed like death door, God Himself came through, and I survived through the scripture. I would have fainted unless I believed that I would live to see the goodness of God in the land of the living. And I mean, that is the word of God anchored me through.
So you would have spoken about chemotherapy, but now we move into a season of something that's just as aggressive, radiation therapy. So tell me about that experience, the emotional toll that took on you. Was it any different to chemo?
It felt pretty much like the same because radiation. So because they had to treat the side, so the right side. So it was targeted radiation treatment, and I mean the cost of that was 2.7 million. Yeah. So what happened is that you lay flat with your hands up, and the radiation machine, it targets, so from here on the arm, so it was this side. So the first few days, so I had to do 15 days of it, or it was 20. 15 days of it.
Yeah.
So 5 days a week for 3 weeks. And so the first couple of days, I feel normal. I feel like nothing. Day 5, I just started to feel the same way that I would when I was in chemo. And so before they began the radiation treatment, really, I had to contend with the side effects of it. So some of the side effects were that they told me were, I wouldn't be able to have children. There's a risk of breast cancer from radiation.
Wow.
You would get a very bad sore throat. Your skin can become damaged and peel, and it can turn into a sore. And it's just a general feeling of being unwell, nausea, vomiting, all of that. Those are some of the side effects. So for me, some of the side effects had to do, I couldn't talk for a little while. I couldn't swallow. It was just unbearable pain. And then my skin at some point started to peel, and the skin got very dark, and then it started to peel. And then there were, medication that I had to get to counter those effects. So yeah, it's very rough. It was very rough going through that experience.
So you mentioned a lot of the physical aspects and how the toll that it took on your body. What about the emotional, the financial, the spiritual?
Um, I had to look at it. I had to compartmentalize everything, and so I look at it as another another rodeo to get through. And so I just tried my best to have eliminated the past experience from the chemo that was I received through IV. So while doing radiation, I was on chemotherapy tablets, and that was giving another set of side effects. But so what I had to do was to just remain focused. Okay, I have 15 days of this. I have to get through it. This is what I have to do. I had it every day, Monday to Friday for 3 weeks. At 2:30 was my appointment, and Friday morning at 7 a.m. each week I had to go to see the radiation oncologist. Big up Dr. Pemberton. Um, he was very, compassionate and caring, and he's on call. He's like, text me, call me if there's anything, you can call me. You have my number. And so his encouragement and how he walked me through it helped me mentally to really deal with it. Spiritually, I remained in prayer. I remained in a posture of prayer. I remained in a posture of believing that I would continue to live to see the goodness of God in the land of the living. It never easy. I mean, I would tell say, oh, it was so easy. I just did that. No. There were days, especially when I had to go, and I'm like, oh, here we go again. Especially when you're getting the radiation treatment and you see your skin peel, and then you have to go back to this thing, There was also a point one time while I was getting treatment, the covering that they gave, I don't know what happened, but it slipped off. So my entire body was now exposed to it, and I have to turn off the machine and run in and cover me up back. And I was like, in my mind, it's like Satan is like, well, see, you ever get the rest of cancer because see the rest. And I was like, no, Satan, the blood of Jesus against you, you know what I mean? So I had to navigate that as it happened and try my best to keep focus, All right, the 15 days is gonna end. So when it ended, I got a certificate and went through a little graduation. Confetti and all.
I have to celebrate the
have to
milestones.
celebrate, confetti and all. And, so that was encouraging. And the staff, because as I mentioned earlier, that I had to do radiation privately. The staff was very warm and very accommodating, and, oh, you need to have on a mask, and, you get your water. They were very, very, very accommodating. So that really helped in the journey.
So the financial aspect of it, because I don't know if you have some millions put on women and know about, we mentioned 2.8 million just now, and you would have been funding treatments prior to that. So how were you able to fund this?
All right. At the beginning of the journey, when, persons around me was saying, Kerry, you need to get a GoFundMe, you need to do this, you need to do that. And God said, I will deal with it. And I said, okay, God, you brought me through the journey of the first round of chemo. You brought me through the journey of the second round of chemo. You brought me through the mastectomy. And you have brought me through that PET scan, which was $3,000 US. And now you are to bring me through this radiation, which is 2.something million. How I got through that was the miracles of God that He used people to respond. And so my cousins, like big up Annie, Dapper, and Chanel.
Wherever on there, big up on yourself.
Big up. You know, they was like, what, my cousin? You know, and Auntie Madge, yeah, big up Auntie Madge, came through with what they had and sent some money and said, cuz, take that. And it's all right, cool. God didn't reach there yet. And I just kept getting calls, you know, Makeda and some persons who said, I don't want them name called, big up on yourself, came through and just like send funds. And they had a payment plan also, so I never had to find all of it at one point. So I had, you know, but you had to pay. And as I shared before, you know, to cover the cost to cover the cost of the PET scan, I had to take salary advance. That took me up for about 3 to 4 months. So all of that come together, and just miracle, you know. Them say, okay, so pay this amount now, that amount then, and so on. And by the time I got to radiation, I'd received a health card, and the health card covered a portion. So, you know, and I had to take out a loan too, so that everything could come together to cover that cost of radiation alone. And then I was still on the chemotherapy tablets, which was not cheap. So that was another set of costs. And I tell her, say, my cousin Annie, I love you from a little. I love you from a little. And the love just keeps growing and growing and growing, because the way our Annie stand up and support is like, I don't have a biological sister, not that I know of, I don't know. You know, but I don't know of a biological sister, I don't have one, but Annie, more than a cousin. So my biological sister. Chanel, her daughter, my cousin. Oh God, I get emotional. I'm getting emotional, but yeah, and Dapper, they really stood up, you know, and supported me through. And prayers also kept me, you know. My cousin Faye always a pray. Tear down, me I storm the gates of heaven. I storm in the gates, you know.
Intercessor.
Yes. And she prayed, and you know, those things you know, really helped me. And some persons, them never have a lot. Say for $1,000. Let me just buy Kerry lunch today. Let me just give Kerry a ride. I mean, when I started chemo, my friend Ramona called me and she said, Kerry, how are you going to get to treatment and stuff? And I'm like, I work out my salvation. And she's like, I'm going to come for you. Yeah. You know, my friend, I don't know if she want her name called, but you know, Jan was like, I'll pick you up after, you know, and Jan do a schedule. You know, with, you know, those who we know, and she work out. And so my best friend Paula chipped in as much as she could. And those things helped me to, you know, go through the journey.
So, you know, in the midst of all of this, life is happening to you, but life don't stop around you, right? So were there any other circumstances, any other situations that you were navigating that just make you want to throw up your hand and say, I want this God again, I want... And if so, how did you make it through that?
Let me tell you, oh God, life did not stop, none at all. And then there were moments when life got harder. So God is interesting, you know. Like, this is how I talk about, you know, even the whole concept of this podcast that God gave me, kept for keeps. And God specifically, like, I keep treasures, you know, keep rubbish. I mean, I said, but God, you keep me, you know, you keep me. in 2024, this was during radiation treatment. Got a call and, from the landlord for where we were living, we had to move. We had to move. And I'm like,
In the middle of the fire.
in the
Another something.
middle of the fire, which I have nothing to do with the health journey.
Mm.
I was like, God, what? And I was just so disheartened. And I remember I was invited to a church, and I went. They were celebrating their 40th anniversary. And the day when I go, and I'm getting ready, the prosthesis burst. So I'm like, I can't go out with one breast a show.
Mm.
Why this of a burst? And the prosthesis was not cheap.
Yeah.
So that's like another expense. Like, you could have waited till 2025, you know what I mean? Why not? I was like so frustrated. And I'm like, so may I go? And my mother is like, no, you don't look good. You don't go this up. Because of how it look, it was like my breast was up here, this one was up here. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't go look like that. I may freak out. I'm sit down on the floor, I'm ball. And Andrea McCurdy, my mother. Hi, mommy. Yeah, my second mother. So she called me and she's like, no man, so we're going.
Mm-hmm.
We're going. What? What is all this foolishness? We're going. And then I've never been the one to suffer from a pain of how I look. I mean, you grow up, you have a little insecurity, but it was very mild, like me too mager, my head too big and so on. But I looked in the mirror and I felt ugly. Like, I feel ugly, I feel deformed, it was a horrible feeling. And then I have to remember, I said, God, I go. And I push my stuff up and fix up, and I went and put on makeup and and I went. When I went, the pastor, they were singing the song Covenant Keeping God. And we sing the song and I worship, and the pastor just went up and him say, him don't know, but him just feel to pause this song a little. And he made an altar call that somebody in this audience is suffering from cancer and they need to come and cry out to God.
Mm.
And then I look at it like, I did feel earlier, like defeated and ugly and unseen. And then I said, but God, you see me. Like, God, you see me. I went up to the altar and I lay down on the thing. So you had steps to go up to the altar. I lay down, I spread out on the step, just like, you throw a carpet and it take the groove of this. So I lay down on the step. And I bawl before God. I said, God, my throat hurt me, my skin peel off, I feel sick. And it's coming now that we don't have nowhere to live and we have to go. What did I bawl before the Lord? And the pastor's wife, I didn't know them before. The pastor's wife come and she lay down for me. She just
spread out with
me. And I said, God, I feel like God come and him just laid on me. And I cried out before him and I lay out everything, like my layout. I think I was there for maybe half hour, 45 minutes, just a bawl. And the lady stayed with me. And she prayed. I made balls until my top. And God said, yeah. The following day now, I went to work and I said, God, me not have no energy to. I look through the newspaper and I don't know if it's something to find something. God, me can't. God, do me. I'm start ball again. God, you have to take the burden off of me, And immediately, as clear as day, I hear his voice, call so-and-so person. I said, for what? Answer. What? I said, yeah, man, call this and so person. You know, I ended up, you know, going to a space, and as I opened the door in the space later on in the day, that was the person. And she's like, Carrie, a long time I not see you. How you do? How everything? A long time we not catch up. How treatment? How did a long time? I said, boy, you know where I rent. She said, um, yeah.
Oh God.
You can manage your rent. I said, I want to move. Right now, I want to move because I want somewhere to live. And she was like, you know, I have one property lock up from when, you know, and I look somebody for rent it too, but me never sure. And I said, give me the key.
Right now.
Give me the key. And she's like, you know, repair and so on. And I said, no problem. Somewhere for live, you know. This was October, and then, you know, we ended up moving. And so, but in the middle of that, it felt now like, I mean, the entire experience has been like a Job experience. But this now feel more Joby. If there's such a saying. But I'm like, no, I don't have nowhere to live. I remember now, I was on salary advance, which meant that there was no salary.
Money now come in and money now push out.
So it's like, how me I go navigate that? I may tell you, say, boy, I don't know. God is to be worshipped. I don't care what nobody say. God is to be worshipped.
So we can collect an offering now.
Yeah, and I mean everything else with life start happening. You know, and continues to happen. You know, challenges on the job. So you had to just navigate all of that, and nobody's gonna stop and say, oh, poor Carrie's going through this, let me just take the burden out. No. The things are coming, and each day I have to say, God, carry me. So there's a thing that they call chemo brain that make you absolutely forgetful. Like, you know, remember nothing. Like, I come here, I'm like, what may I do? Did I pay this bill? Did I? You just don't remember nothing. And every second, the only thing I remembered is to ask God to bring it back to my memory.
Yeah.
And somebody said, write down in your book. But I set on a reminder, set an alarm. And sometimes I take up the phone, I don't remember how to set an alarm. And I take up the book, I don't remember that I had something in the book that I need to go back to. So I don't remember how the book looked. There were those moments. Those moments when you forget to do simple things. I remember one day I did not remember how to make a phone call. I just could not make the phone call. I said, God, no, man. I said, no, God, help me. And you know, they said, take more vitamin B, take more not help. God help me. Can I take vitamin B, liquid, tablet, food, everything. I don't remember. Let me tell you. And when I'm at work, I just God say, Carrie, do this, Carrie, remember this, do this. And I had to just be slow. You know, not normally when you just move fast. No, I couldn't move fast. Some days I get up and I would get up and I don't know what to do. Right? But what do I need to do now? All right, Carrie, you need to go bathe. You need to brush your teeth first. You need to do your face routine. You need to bathe. And each day I have to be reminding myself what to do. And that was difficult. So even at a point, I paid one bill 3 times because all of my mind not pay the bill. So those things, you have to navigate that, you know, and I mean, God really helped me to come out of that phase. But that is something you have to do. I go to the supermarket. I don't even remember if I wrote a list. or if the list even makes sense. And so I have to pause and just go through. But God had to carry me through the regular motion of life. Come here for work. By the sweat of your brow, that's how you eat bread. You know, so God really kept me and carried me.
So you're battling all of this. At the same time, there must be some kind of war going on in your mind, because not only is these things are manifesting physically, but then you have your mother tell you, say, "La, that no look good." How do you practically fortify your mind against things like this?
I began to share earlier that for the greater part of it, I was numb. And so, honestly, some of the things I don't even realize that some things are going on. Because I had to shut it out. I could not
Process.
I couldn't, yeah. And I mean, is that my brain could not process some of these things. And what my mother said was true, it never looked you know, it's not like it never looked, because like up here, so the breast there and I don't yet, so it's like you can't go like. But then I had to now be able to process that I truly thought me can't go out like that.
Yeah.
So for the greater part I was numb, and I had to go to therapy, as I shared. And you know, the therapist give you some tips on what to do, and that didn't work. You know why? Because getting all of those things that I need to do was overbearing itself. But first of all, I can't remember what you say. Second of all, it's something else to do, and throughout this whole journey, I always had to do something.
It's doing, yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sick of doing. I just want to lay down and just. I can honestly say. Let me explain it this way. There was this picture I saw. You know, where they said, you know, 2 set of footprints in the sand, and there's a drag mark. But feel like God are walking on the sand and I'm being dragged.
You can't go no more, but I've got you.
I've got you. Yeah, man, I was dragged. And then there were moments I was carried. Like sometimes there's a peace in my mind I cannot explain. And then there were times when God worked through people, you know. So some persons would come just randomly. So Kerry, we're gonna pray. And they pray about something, and and I had to still do, you know. I still have to do, because if I never do, I would have laid down in the bed of depression and die. But I had to just try. So different days, different things happen, but one thing was for sure. I'm going to listen to scripture. I'm going to listen some worship music. I'm going to listen to the same song over and over and over and over and over and over and over. But I had to do something to get my mind, and it's in the middle of radiation that God said, all right, so you remember some years ago I did tell about one conference where if you keep, yes, you're going to do it now.
So in the middle of all of this, you execute the Healing Through Arts conference. How you do that? Walk me through that journey. Because you just say you're doing. So that sounds like another thing for you to do. Oh.
I'm have a big up Sheikah. So when the Lord gave me He didn't give me the name because I saw it for name, but what He said was, you know, you need to do something. One, you need to do or practice doing more arts as there's healing in it. And you need to walk some persons through that there is healing in arts. I talked to Sheikah and she said, healing in arts, carry that not catchy. Healing through arts. I said, that sound good enough. We said that enough.
I can't work with it.
I can't work with enough. And she helped me. She helped me at the time to flesh it out. All right, so you need to do this, you need to do that. And then I sat with the Lord and the Lord fleshed it out. The level of healing that you can get from participating in the arts, it needs to be studied, documented, recorded, and talked about.
Agreed.
So you're an artist.
Mm-hmm.
So when I sit down and I start to write I didn't know I could write creative pieces during that. It was in that period. It was in that season. I started to write everything. I feel something. I'm like, I am writing a poem. Oh, me.
Yes.
And so engaging in that, and then I started painting. I started drawing. I'm not the best yet, but I started to do those things, and that helped me so much. Creating and putting, the idea, and God said, okay, do the conference this way, do it this way, 50 people. I didn't call it to do a big mega thing, 50 people. I'm just about God. And when I see how God provide in the 2 years that it happened, when I see the impact, you have been there.
Yep. I've had the pleasure.
And when I see hear the testimonies from the people, and I carry me didn't need this. This is so refreshing. Me didn't need it too. Like, it was so refreshing. And when we see, oh, God provide for it. I mean, last year, healing through arts, that's a whole testimony by itself. But let me tell you that 3 days before the event should have been at the summit, and unfortunately, the summit got flooded. 3 days before the event, I did not even pay the summit all of the money. I did just pay, call it 40%. 3 days before the event, not one ticket was sold. It was the same day the person paid. I'm going to say, God, you sure you tell me to do this? Because what is this?
I look at the maths and it's just not my thing.
It's not my thing. And I say, God, how you do this? And me just... But there was a piece that I'm doing the right thing. I'm still a plan, I'm still a put everything together and so on. And God, as you would have seen on the flyer, God sent the leaders and pastors of KWAP Liberation Church. And I said, can it be held there? And they said, we don't have an event, sure. And I remember Lady Keisha called me and she said, I'm not sure if you'll be able to afford it, but this is the cost. You sure you can manage it? It was like 10% of the cost.
Mercy. Whoa.
And the deposit that I paid covered that and helped to cover. When I tell you, nothing was happening.
And then just like that.
And it's just like that. 3 days. 3 days.
What a God.
It says 3 days. And that's how we know that God provides for his vision and his mission.
Yeah.
Anyway, nobody can tell me say God never flood out the summit. I don't know what it's in a business what the news say.
Yeah.
And whether I don't know, but that was and I tell you, even when they said the venue not available, I said, okay, this is my time to postpone it. I cancel it because it was just too much, because the maths, the numbers. No, maths is bad, and maths worse when you have letter and word.
Talk about it.
When it have letter and word, the words. One whole sentence in the middle of X minus Y. You're like, huh? That's how it did feel.
Can't figure it out.
And God just take the paper and say, all right. See it, them not tell us everything, all right. See it now. And I'm just like, so when I talk about healing through arts, and I mean I did other interviews, but the engaging in arts is something that settles your mind. It just relaxes you. Because yes, therapy is good, it's a must. But after you're done talk to the therapist, sometimes you need something as an outlet. You need to write about it, you need to draw and paint up the thing and and just get it out. Exercise, just sometimes you need to get it out. And the arts is one way to get it out.
As you're sharing, you're ministering to me. So you probably wouldn't have known, but I have a project called It Takes a Village, and I go into schools and I use arts to have session. So I have the painting, bracelet making. And the reason that I saw the need to implement that in high schools was because when I came to your conference, that made a difference to me.
Wow, look at that.
Even though I have canvases and when I'm having a hard time, I just take out my canvas. I'm not a painter. But by the end of it, I feel refreshed. So yeah, the great things, Kerry. But what I want to know is, because so many things went wrong when I was trying to accomplish that, how were you able to remain obedient? The venue flooded out. You didn't want to give up, but why you just never did give up?
I have learned obedience through the things I've suffered. What were some of the things I suffered? The lashing from being disobedient.
I love the honesty.
As I usually, I'm one that's this, and I'm like, God, all right, I remember a time when the Lord gave me an instruction. At the time, I was just learning the voice of God and just learn. And the Lord said, you see this space that you're at? You need to leave. You need to leave this church. I said, but God for tell me to leave church. What?
No, man, I must have devil in a minute.
Satan, the blood of Jesus. Satan! The blood of Jesus. Because God can't tell me to leave church. All right. This will be a mistake. When I tell you that I suffered no ends of trouble, disrespect, problem, and I mean, on another episode, then I will share my testimony because it's my testimony and I'm free to share. But may I tell you, say, it just was so hard. It's hard, Aliyah. I mean, I say, how has this interaction and this relationship gotten so difficult and gotten so toxic? And never happened. I didn't remember what the Lord said. He said, leave, I'm not here, leave. That I'm not never happening. So I said, but God, it's a Satan. I go through Aliyah, I go through something. I lost myself in the midst of it, and in the middle, God just come up and say, remember me to talk to you. And even when I leave, I said, no, God, it don't look good. Oh, me just leave. So but I can't, God. And God sent one of my co-workers and said, Kerry, I have a word for you. So the Lord wants to move you to somewhere, and you're standing at a place that He told you to move. This guy don't know nothing about me. You're standing at a place that He told you to move. But He can't take you into what He has to you because you still stand up there. So move. As He said it, I knew exactly what should have been done. I'm going to send a message and God. Now you say if me did obedient at the time.
Yes.
I would not have gone through 2.5, almost 3 years of what I endured. I would have grown, I would have gotten, I was just different, but I did not listen. So, when God say, do this conference, it have to do.
It has to do.
The morning last year, the second stage, and when it should happen, we should start at 9:30. Not one smaddy was in the room at 9:30. Me and the MC and the crew, and I said to her, big up Minister Teresa. I said, Lady Teresa, well, we're going to just record the stage. I'm like, Lady Camille, move down the camera and just do the stage. But we're gonna have a version of it because God said it have to happen. 10 o'clock, me say everybody. The place was full up 10 o'clock. You were there. You come late too.
It's in Jamaica.
It's Jamaica in you. And and the thing happened, and I stand up there and I cry and I say, God, you really say obedient. So you see from that experience, you see from me know that it's God who spoke. And as you have relationship, as you interact with him, you will know to differentiate strange voices from his voice. And I mean, just last week the Lord talking to me about avoid strange voices. You know what I mean? But I'm telling you, after that experience and many other experiences, me going to do what the Lord said. All if it flop and nobody never come. Any speaker that's there, we record that. And I put that up because God said to have it. Not even the presenter for the bead making was there at the time when it's supposed to start. As a matter of fact, there was no speaker there at the time. But then things start, because everybody just start get a lick, start get hit, just bully for something start happen to the speakers and the presenters, and a lot of things start happening, and it's like, but the peace that passes all understanding is what God gave to me.
I love that. So during this time, you spoke a lot about community.
Yeah.
But what role does community play in navigating this entire ordeal, from the conference to radiation, as well as how do you know what voices to trust? Because a lot of people were pouring into you, whether it be words, finances. How you know which of these are actually from God?
So I shared on the first part one, that. Somebody say, there was a community, they said that God gave me cancer to break down pride. And, yeah. And for a moment, I thought, I wonder if. And then remember now that I'm coming from, my own insecurities and experiences as a child where I felt unloved and I felt, whether real or imagined, but it was real to me. And I just felt that God hated me. I don't know, me just from a little going through certain things, I just feel like I was the worst mistake on earth. So it's not far-fetched that God would do this to me because of something that me do wrong. So God will punish me. Somebody feel for a minute. And the Lord reminded me to go back to his word. And I have to remember the facts. When Satan went to Jesus and tell him all kind of something, Jesus went back to the word. So what Satan may be saying may be facts, but we'll go back to the word.
Can be facts, but it's not true.
It's not true. Because the truth is, if there was any perfect human being on earth, Jesus would not come. So when Jesus tell them, judge not, I know because him I say, don't judge me, don't. All are we imperfect, that's why we need Jesus. What did you use to determine that this punishment was for this crime? Was there actually a crime? How you get to that level to determine that this happened because of that? You don't know. Me not interested for know. Maybe just want God help me because God see the diagnosis here. And then you have to look at, is this conversation helpful? When you said that to me, how is it that you helped me? Because it was done in a way of rejoicing. And then, the whole thing started to be a group discussion and a group feeling and da, da, da. So instead of praying for me, you have gathered around a reason for what happened to me. But did God tell you that? How are you helping me as your sister? We rejoice. So guess so. Me can't know your company. So we have to run from this on. So one of the ways I use to determine the voice of God, and Paul tell you, when you speak, you have to love people. If you drop a layer, and even if I tell you don't run, and me come to you say, good, your foot should have broke. You call to love and to compassion, and also God deal with me. God love me sometimes and make we run up and down, and then him sorry it come. Because had it been to God, the world would just dead. Because we're sinful. When him look at sin, him see. And no matter how righteous you be, and no matter how right you're doing, you sin. So where is love, compassion, and care? And I told somebody earlier, injustice to one is injustice to all. And if we're brothers and sisters, we have to see how best we can be there for each other. And some people come with some good things. Some people come and say, do a GoFundMe, Kerry. Kerry, we're going to do t-shirt with you and sell it and see. And Kerry, we're going to do this and we're going to go over this and we're going to do that and we're going to do this and that. And then my mind shifted to, okay, these things will help me. And God said, no, I am going to help you. I remember one of those persons who, strange voices who accused me and whatever. And after I did surgery and she called me and she said, boy, God did serious, man. I said, what do you mean? I said, yeah, God did serious. Say, him not going to share him glory with nobody. I said, but God never run joke yet. Me never read the Bible and see God run joke.
Mercy.
And if God's same word will not return to him void, that means anything him say, I saw it go.
Full stop.
Full stop it, and that is it. So of course God go serious. What do you mean? That if God serious, him serious. He said, don't look to man and don't look to the things I will provide for you. So every single person who came and sowed and prayed for me and encouraged me, God sent them. Because when they came, I felt a mutual peace. Mm-hmm. I felt a mutual peace. So those were good advice and good idea, and I must go on a platform and speak about being diagnosed, and I couldn't speak. Because let me tell you, generally, as humans, we don't love each other, and somehow we fast. Because when I got diagnosed, there were some people who call and all them do is ask questions. When your family did have it, when you know you're diagnosed, when you do that, so when you go do that, and when you go do that, and so you never feel it before, so you never did do this before, and you never did. No, that not help me. I'm in the reality now that I am diagnosed. I'm in the reality now that I may not live past a year. Especially since the tumor did reach 9 centimeters. Can you imagine a 9 centimeter thing inside your breast? Then you hear it reach in a lymph node. A 13 lymph node them take out. You know what I mean? So we never have no time and no space for that. So the more you open up about certain things, you're gonna get certain things that is not helpful. And you have to lock out that. You have to lock out that. And I mean, if nothing, I hope that this episode, as it encourages, as I went through it, and I, you know, we're not perfect and we're humans. And I pray that if something happens to somebody, anything at all, that I don't go in as an investigator or an interviewer. I go in with compassion. How can I help you? Or do you wish to say, you know? And the best help is to give what the person need. When me just get diagnosed, I was in no position to take up the mic and stand up in front of no congregation or audience and declare, hey, everybody have cancer, please. Well, me not ready. Because I know that I would open up myself to a lot of questions and I could not deal with it because I was trying.
Questions you yourself don't even have the answer to.
And then knowing the answer, it not help me. Because will the answer take the cancer away? No. It not help me. So if you have to help me. And if you can't, pray for me. Bless me or left me alone. So it was a season of navigating that. It never easy, Aliyah. It never easy. It was not easy. But God came through. God kept me for keeps.
So where are you now? Mentally, emotionally? We hear the journey. There are 2 more episodes before this, so we know the struggles. But where are you now?
Where I am now, mentally, sometimes the memories come back. And sometimes the voices come back. You're gonna get cancer again. And, you know, sometimes when you scroll through social media, so at a point I have to come off of social media because I don't know, all in the feed just kept coming up with people dying from cancer, people who was healed and then them get back sick and Satan, I say, yeah, man, that happened to you. You see, man, you know, when I tell you, you don't know if you heal or if you, no, man, and I start to worry and stress out and then me just become this hypochondriac. My head hurt me, I wonder if I have a brain tumor. And then there was a point that I was having a headache for 3 weeks. Non-stop headache, nothing. And then said, I must go do a CT scan. Fear and panic take me over. And then right there, one of my high school classmates, she died from, she had a brain tumor. And, you know, and so it's like, yeah, man, that happened to you. And I have to just remember, but God is still speaking. So God is still saying, go through with Healing Through Arts Conference 2026. Do a Healing Through Arts webinar so that you continue to build the community so we understand. Do this, okay, so from when you write this film, from you were sick, get the wheels in motion and record this film. People need the word and so on and so forth. So I have to still keep focused. I have to still keep in the word. I have to still keep at the feet of Jesus. Because nobody knows what the future holds. I mean, I want to think about the future. That's insanity. As in, live in the future, and I'm not in the future. And then worse, I'm going to create a future self or a future scenario that may not be true, or me call it down for myself. Remember Job saying, what I have feared has come upon me. That means at some point, Job thought about losing everything and losing. That's why I'm saying that, and Satan play upon that. That's why Satan thought that with that, he would have that Job would have cursed God.
Mm.
And as a child, as I shared earlier, when I heard my mother tell me about what her mother went through with breast cancer and she eventually passed, me used to pray, God, please don't make me have breast cancer. That's something I'm afraid of. So let me just enjoy what is happening now. Because in everything, the goodness of God is revealed in the land of the living while we're here.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna focus on that. I'm gonna focus on that. I'm gonna zero in on that. Physically, there are some complications post chemo which have come up. I'm still going through a series of tests just to see how to treat those, thyroid issues, these issues, hormone issues, heart issue, all kind of issue. But it is at the stage where, we're gonna see what will happen. So I don't put that on my head, because while the time I take to focus on zeroing on that, I don't see the miracle that God provide right there. So
Right.
I love a good story and I love a good news. So let me focus on the goodness.
Yes.
Let me still help my brother, still help my sister, still support when I can, go and do my thing. I just so.
So if you're still waiting to see what God will unfold in the coming days, coming weeks, but if you could look at Kerry, when Kerry just getting her diagnosis, say something to then Kerry to encourage her.
Girl, it'll go alright. I just that. It'll go alright because it is already alright. Don't fear about anything. It's already alright. Because God has gone before you and He has made a way. Him turned streams into highways, highways in a stream, whatever they need. Whether you want a stream, Him turn it in a that. Whether you want a highway, Him turn it in a that. It's already well, and God will provide.
And if you could summarize this journey in just one simple sentence, what would that be? Too much for summarize, don't it? It's too much. One sentence.
And the sentence is a scripture. I would have fainted unless I believed that I would live to see the goodness of God in the land of the living. I have to believe that.
I don't have anything else to say. She said what she said, and that is that.
That is that.
I carry this was a powerful conversation. As you speak, you minister to me. And I'm so glad that I had the honor to sit down with you.
God orchestrate all things. I'm going to see you from a long time, I'm going to say that girl, the blessing of the Lord upon her. She go through some things, and she going through some things, and she navigates some things. But the hand of the Lord is upon you. And you keep doing the impact that Him tell you to do, how Him tell you to do it. Not how you see somebody else and do it and you replicate. No. Him tell you to go into the schools and deal with it that way. And Him tell you to do this, do it that way. It's a big playing field, it's a big platform. And just do what God say you to do. Don't try to put a layer in it. Him say, do it this way, and do it well. And we can partner in the future.
Definitely.
All right, so thank you, everybody. This has been an interesting 3-part testimony. It's been emotional for me, sharing so much in depth. I know I leave out some things. I'm sure I leave out some people. But big up to every single person who helped me on the journey. Big up my all professionals WhatsApp crew. 4 of us in there, big up on yourself. I don't know if I want a name call because But my all professionals WhatsApp group, I love one like, wow. Big up on yourself. Thanks to everybody. And we're going to continue the Kept for Keeps podcast because let me just be vulnerable. I never planned to say this, but let me just be vulnerable. In one of my lows, I'm like, I'm not going to do this podcast anymore. I'm not do this podcast anymore because I just can't. And if you notice that the last episode really happened 2024. So for all of 2025, there was no Kept for Keeps podcast. And I was like, I'm not going to, for 2025, I'm not going to record. I'm just done. Let it just die. And I went to a conference. Not for myself, follow my friend to the conference. And the host for the conference, she started to share. She said, no, man, I have to obey the Lord. I have to stop. There's somebody in here that needs. Oh, I can't. I'm not comfortable up here. And she come down and she touched two other people and she came to me and she said, God has taken you through a fire. God has given you a testimony. And I see chains breaking. I see people being healed. I see people being delivered from the testimony that He took you through. But why won't you speak? And immediately I understood what I need to get together. This was 2026 here. She said it to me. That's when I just went on and did the video. Like, okay, we're gonna put out the episode, and we put out episode 1 and 2. This is now episode 3, because the original word that God gave me with this podcast was from 2017. Kept for Keeps, and the anchoring scripture is from Revelation, and they were saying that they overcome by the blood of the Lamb, Jesus Christ, and the word of the testimony. And He said, when you are testifying and when you testify of the goodness of God, it changes your mood, And then when you listen to the testimonies of others, it helps to change their mood and change your mood. And everybody listen and the mood change to focus on God. We are kept for keeps as treasures, as His children. We are kept for keeps. And so when she said that to me, I knew it was return. It was return. And so I'm encouraging you to keep going. Follow the word of the Lord. Follow the call Him give Him. Give you the talent for you to multiply. And the easiest way for multiply it is make Him tell you how to do it. Because Him tell another, that's why I'm giving them different talents, Make Him tell you how to multiply what He has given to you. And that's my word to you, Alea, and that's my encouragement to all my viewers. I love you guys. Thank you so much for journeying with me. Thank you, Alea, for agreeing to this, being a part of this. Make sure you subscribe to Right Productions 876. Yeah, clock that. I learned something from you. Clock that. And follow on Instagram, TikTok, Right Productions 876. The Healing Through Arts Conference 2026 is coming up, September 26. Details to follow. Bye, guys. Love you.